All right.
There we go.
Are talking today about the danger of buying a fad business. These are businesses that are, they're hot during one cycle of the market and then all of a sudden they have a sharp decline. These are, I think, Blockbuster. You buy a Blockbuster business or franchise and all of a sudden, the whole industry has changed and your whole business model is just, it's not relevant anymore. You're going to be in a lot of trouble. So we're going to give a couple of examples and just talk about kind of the danger of this, because if you end up putting yourself into some kind of debt or some kind of situation where you owe money or you've got an investor that's expecting a return and you're betting it all on a business that is a fad and isn't going to be there in a couple of years from now, you could put yourself in a really bad situation and really just have a terrible time.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you look at, let's use the Blockbuster example. I'm going to be a little contra to Blockbuster because that was more the company not pivoting and changing with the times. But for a while, Blockbuster, it seemed like, well, that was the logical next step. That was the evolution. And their inability to adapt, I feel like that just, I would call it a similar, for the people owning it, that was like the 2008 housing collapse, but for their business. And I'd really feel bad for all those people that lost their shirts over that one. But the first one that comes to mind for me in recent, maybe the last 6 months, it's probably been a little longer. It's probably been around longer. Dirty sodas. This is that soda with cream or some sort of creamer in it. They mix it up. They throw all this stuff in it and just makes essentially a super sweet sugar bomb. And I've seen this all over the place. They got chains now. This came out of Utah. Apparently it's been out there for years and it's just now coming over. I mean, fast food and coffee places are offering them. It's really just this massive influx of dirty soda. And I can see why. They're toothachingly sweet. And they're huge with kids. A lot of people I know who are parents will say they go once a week.
Another one in the sweets category is Crumble cookies. They're on a sharp decline right now. I mean, people just aren't getting them like they used to. And so if you bought one of those, you're just, steadily just declining month after month, year after year, and you're going to be in a struggle if you've got debt service. It's just, if you think about it, it's the same as what happened with frozen yogurt stores. I mean, they're still out there. There's still some doing all right, but the people probably overpaid a lot for these types of things to either build one out or to buy one or something like that back when they were really popular. And how could they ever fail? They're making so much money, but all of a sudden the market changes. And so I think the big thing is you have to ask yourself the question of is this thing going to be a mainstay in the culture? Or, I mean, did this just kind of come out of nowhere and become a trend or a fad?
And I think that's where we kind of are coming to on this thing. I mean, we're talking about specifically food right now. And I think food is a really good starting point because you don't know if something's just hot for the moment. I'm sure when sushi came over to America, everybody thought that was a fad. So, sometimes you do nail it, but I have a hard time feeling that dirty sodas are going to stick around as much as, say, coffee, tea, regular soda will. And to your extent, Crumble, when Crumble started within a year, I think there were 4 or 5 competitors. And then you had the Mrs. Fields going hey, we've been doing this.
You can get Crumble dupes in Publix now for anyone who's not from the East Coast, southeast of the U.S. like we are. Publix is our big grocery store chain. They've got Crumble dupes in Publix. Just as good.
Yeah, they are just as good, honestly. And they're half the price.
Yeah, for half the price. More accessible. You don't have to go out of your way to a Crumble. You're just already there. And people are just going to pick them up when they're already picking up their groceries. I mean, and Crumble.
One of our favorite, actually, is I think if you want to talk about a deep dive of somebody eating themselves as a company, we could go for a long time, especially with the new Crumble Thins and their dirty sodas. And they're truly on the spiral.
Yeah, and, they're mismanaging it really badly, too. But I mean, they're also just in a market it's not going to be around that much longer. Another example is a lot of these boutique exercise, salons or shops or whatever you call them.
Looking at you, F45.
Yeah, these F45s, these spin studios or Pilates studios or bar studios. I mean, some of these exercise regimens are probably going to stay around for a while, but these boutique-y ones, I really just don't think are going to have a lot of longevity. Now, I mean, there's exceptions to that. I think if you've got a yoga studio, then you're in a little bit better spot. I mean, yoga's been around a long time. People have loved yoga for a long time. They're probably going to continue to love yoga. But some of these more trendy ones that are based around like a very specific kind of modality that just gets really popular all of a sudden, I think those are a losing proposition too. I wouldn't want to own one.
I think Pilates is going to be one where I say is a bit more of an exception. It's been around for a long time. And Pilates has been routinely cited in the scientific community and the exercise community as a very valuable workout. So I think it's going to continue for the good studios and the people who are doing it to the highest level. But for these kind of turn and burn ones, it might be a bit more difficult. I mean, we've seen Orange Theory numbers drop steadily. It wasn't disrupted to the degree that we thought it would be when what are they called? Pelotons. When the Pelotons came out and started offering their classes at home, I really thought that was the kiss of death for those guys, but they managed to stay afloat. I really did think COVID would kill CrossFit, and CrossFit has actually kind of restabilized. It's having a bit of competition with the Hydrox craze right now, but that's more of a war of attrition, I think. I'll be interested to see if CrossFit can stay the course and if Hydrox can continue to persevere in this market. But yeah, a lot of these kind of kitschy ones with the logos and the gimmicks and the kind of just glorified circuit routes. I mean, you're where you live. I think there's 3 within a 5-minute drive. So you're spoiled for choice.
I think some of these recovery type places too, like IV drip bars and that sort of thing. I mean, they could have some longevity, but I just don't really necessarily see it. I mean, I would be a little bit worried, a little bit shaky on it. I think it's just you run a lot of risk there of it not lasting that long.
That insurance to have somebody drive to your house and stab you with an IV.
I'm talking about like the storefront ones.
Oh, the storefront ones, yeah. I mean, if they're not a nurse, I mean, I've known nurses who have had enough of a time, missing a vein once or twice, and if I'm not in the hospital, I really don't want anybody taking my blood, or I'm not on the blood van. So I'm surprised. I'd be surprised it lasted another 10 years.
Juice and smoothie bars too. We've talked about food a little bit, but like a juice or smoothie bar, I feel like those new ones pop up all the time and just fall back down. Really, any restaurant concept is a huge risk. I mean, we talked about that a lot on the show, but ghost kitchens is another example. Anything cannabis or CBD related, I think right now. I mean, the
vape industry as a whole.
The legislation is just all over the place and like not reliable. But anything related to those, I think there's a lot of like new stuff coming out, like these cannabis drinks, THC drinks, and beers and stuff like that too. I think there will be a lot of trends around that don't have a lot of longevity, and I think any kind of business based around that,
it reeks of desperation when they're going this far into it. The one that I'll say that I was pleasantly surprised about that kind of took over the zeitgeist. Zyn pouches, Lucy pouches, the pouch nicotines. I never would have expected that to take off like it did, but I think it's past that point of, is it a fad? And now it is a acceptable alternative to the raw kind of tobacco that people would put in their lips. So I think everybody who went on that train, they're actually going to make out just fine, especially everybody who started little companies around selling those.
Well, that's actually a great example too, because I think if your whole business and your whole background is having like smoke shops, for example, you're able to kind of dip in and out of these fads and these trends as they come along. But you're also, I mean, you've got a business based around this, like around people's vices that are not going to change. Like the fact that people have vices is not going to change anytime soon. It's like having a liquor store, right? High noons aren't necessarily going to stay a popular thing. I mean, you've got Sun Cruisers now giving them a run for their money, but if you have a liquor store, you can just carry whatever's popular. So I think, like, rather than trying to cling on to the trends and the fads, you should try to have a business that's able to take advantage of the trends and the fads without being locked into one.
Yeah, if you have a bit of a more diverse space and you are crazy enough to be in retail, you are spoiled for choice when a lot of these fads come out. You can really test the waters of what's staying and what's going. And that's pretty powerful in this market if you have the cash to kind of get a distributor who's going to give you some of that newer stuff.
Now, I think one thing we wanted to leave you guys with on this one though too is like not everything that looks like it could be a fad is one necessarily. We've given a couple of examples of things that have actually stuck around and had some longevity. Another example is just coffee shops. Coffee shops weren't always a thing. You had a couple popular ones that got started. Now coffee shops are an incredibly popular thing, and having one might not be a terrible idea. I think getting one that's a franchise, I mean, it could be a little bit risky because you just don't know how much longevity that franchise is going to have. But coffee shop as a concept, wouldn't say it's a fad. I think it's here to stay. It's taking advantage of something that, I mean, people's love for coffee is not going away anytime soon. So not everything that looks fatty is necessarily going to flame out and not be around. But think about the patterns that you've seen before and like what led to some things not having the kind of longevity that people thought they would. How might that happen to other things that could be a trend right now? And how can you maybe have a business that is able to take advantage of these things but is not reliant on them and doesn't fall apart if they fall apart?
I will say on the food spectrum, Nothing Bundt Cakes. That franchise, I was like, this is a fad. I'll just enjoy it while it lasts. Always good. It was a very consistent quality product, and I was very surprised with how much I liked it. And they keep opening up, and I'm honestly pretty glad because
Fantastic.
They are so consistently good. I'm very pleasantly surprised that they've managed to carve out a niche for themselves.
Yeah, you almost want it to like be really popular, but not as popular as Crumble. They got too big too fast and just fell apart.
Yeah, no, I think Nothing Bundt Cakes is one of those few food ones where I'm like, yeah, I think they nailed it.
Not a sponsored ad, but I love them too. But if you enjoyed this episode, we do this every Tuesday night right around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go live and talk about stuff in the business buying, deal making, private equity types of categories. Sometimes we interview cool people, like we interviewed an HVAC broker, a business broker the other week that has sold over 160 HVAC businesses, almost 200 now. And that was a really cool episode. Also interviewed some guys who have done a major roll up in the private equity field a little bit before that. So tune in every week. We do breakdowns like this and talk about these sorts of topics. We'll see you on the next one.